Okay, good morning everyone. I'm Rajeev Mahajan and I work for HSBC, and my role is I lead the DevOps transformation, DevOps engineering, and all the DevOps pipelines and toolchain in HSBC. So in today's session, it's for 45 minutes. I'll be covering what's our DevOps transformation journey, what all things we have been doing as part of our DevOps implementation, what tools, platforms are there. I'm covering, I think, I'll not go very technical, but yes, definitely I think I can go as technical as it's needed. And in the last probably 5-10 minutes, we'll definitely open up for the questions as well, if there are any questions. So I'll get started with just a brief introduction to HSBC, talking about our quick numbers here, right? HSBC, we have got a huge scale and complexity. As you can see, we have got 39 million customers present in 66 countries, 3,900 offices, right, and 40,000 people in our IT organization. Now, absolutely, I think big numbers. The challenge is, if you're big, we need to be agile as well, right? We can't say that we are big and will move slow. So the challenge is, how do we really get into the agility and the speed, given the size, complexity, too many moving parts in the organization? How do we get there? So this is our HSBC Manifesto, technology manifesto, coming right from our group CIO, and it's a public link. Right, if you go to the search engine and type HSBC Technology Manifesto, you can get hold of a copy of this. It is roughly 16 pages. I think one of the best descriptions of, I will say, leadership principle, technology leadership principles, technology motivation principles I have came across. So I have summarized this particular thing in one slide in terms of what all things are there in those 16 pages, right? And all those 16 pages talks about these 9 or 10 things which are listed here. So I will touch base on, I think, couple of points here. First is like we call ourselves as definitely means big part of HSBC is definitely the business also. So we definitely call ourselves as we are a technology organization and will like to work as a fintech, as a startup. And our core mission is transform the world's banking experience. Not only within HSBC, that how we can set up the example for the other banks as well to follow. How we can give something back to the technology world as well. So a lot of things here, like be proud of who we are, build great teams. So I'll not spend too much time, but just wanted to give you that this is a technology manifesto coming from the top. This is what we try to follow almost every day, right? And those, if you are interested, you can download it from our site. So given our scale and complexity, and as I said, I think probably yesterday in some of the keynote as well, we are a 155-year-old organization. So our challenges are slightly different than the organization which is just, I will say, which is 10 years old, 5 years old, or 15 years old, right? We had a lot of organic and inorganic growth both, which means that all the systems as not homegrown, some of the systems we have inherited. And we are not wish I was an internet-born company, right? Which means like I will not have any legacy system. All my systems will have all the latest, greatest technologies, right? But this is not the case. Like IT is not something is a day, means it's 5 years old or 15 years old for us. It is almost, I will say, it goes back 50 years or 60 years for us, right? So we have got all kind of complexities, all kind of systems you can imagine for, right? I guess a few years back we were still using OS2, right? So we have got 4 stacks, right? Which is distributed, mobile, and this is where I think all the action is. Whenever you, I think, go to, I think, any of the conference, everyone is talking about digital, everyone is talking about mobile, everyone is talking about the distributed stack. But we have got a huge, I will say, systems and people working on I series and Z series also, which is mainframe and mid-range, right? So, and most of our backend systems are actually on this, right? I'm not going to talk about, of course, I just wanted to give a quick glimpse of what is the complexity in the organization, right? So definitely, I think for the rest, I will be talking about somewhat what we have done in the DevOps in the last two stacks, but I'll be talking about what we have done in the distributed space as well. So for us, let's say if we want full-scale DevOps, if we want full agility and speed, it's not that only we have to do the work on the distributed and mobile side of the things. We have to ensure that we have got the DevOps in the last two stacks also, right? So which, like for example, if I do the DevOps only in the mainframe, only in the mobile and distributed, and I don't do it in the mainframe and in the I series, I will not achieve the full-scale agility or speed. Right? So which means that my front-end teams will definitely work as fast as possible. As soon as they land up into the back-end systems, to the host systems, the speed will get slow. So we want to make sure that if we want to really run fast, if we want to really run a sprint, I want to make sure my both legs, my both hands, the entire body is strong. So that is why I think we have to ensure that we do a full stack implementation of DevOps, and in certain cases, I think probably we don't have industry standard solutions also available. So what we wanted to do here was, right, as you can see on the left-hand side, we didn't wanted DevOps to be selective, that DevOps is only available for these two stacks. We wanted a uniform CI/CD experience for our developers. So all the faster cars are available for the rest of the two stacks as well. So what we did was that we said, if we are using Jenkins as our core orchestration engine, it has to be available for all four stacks. Right. So what we did was that how do we enable Jenkins for mainframe? How do we enable Jenkins for mid-range also, I-series also? So that is what we did. So our mobile and distributed developers were very happy because they have got full stack DevOps, but after implementing Jenkins for these two stacks, this is what the state of our developers is, right? We have got happy developers, smiling developers for all our stack because they are able to do the CI/CD across all. So if I am an I-series developer, I can still do the CI. If I am a mainframe developer, I can still do the CI and CD both. So when we spoke about transformation, we laid out the principle that we'll do the transformation inside out, which means that we will do the transformation for the customer, but before that we have to do the transformation for the people who are working in the organization also. That are the right tools available for the people, for the developers, for the colleagues in the organization? Are we giving them the best-in-class engineering experience? So that's what we meant by transformation inside out. We didn't want it to be selective, that only for the distributed, only for the mobile, only for our customers we were doing the transformation. We wanted to make sure that we give absolutely A-class experience for our developers also. So this is why on the top you can see all the four stacks, that we didn't want it to be selective, we wanted to be holistic here. And the boxes here, what it talks about is some of the tools what we have developed in the process of making sure that we innovate in the DevOps space and make sure that our developers have got real good experience. We have got CI/CD implemented across, as I said, across all stacks. But apart from that, we wanted to leapfrog in this particular area and see that what else we can do for our developers. So this is why we came up with some of this particular stuff, which I will be talking about in next few slides, like Sunnah, Defect Samurai, DevSecOps. DevSecOps, huge focus on DevSecOps. I'll be honest, I think it's a journey for us. If I was talking probably 1 year back, our maturity in the DevSecOps space was very, very less. And now if I am talking, I can definitely confidently say that most of our pipelines at this point of time has got a embedded DevSecOps principles, has a security tool embedded into it. So security is, of course, always an afterthought. When I am going to the production, I have to run behind all the teams to get the security sign-offs. And at that point of time, if a major issue of SEV 1 or SEV 2, I think I'm sure in all the organizations, if you have a SEV 1 or a SEV 2 in your code, you cannot go live, right? And at that point of time, cost of fixing that particular defect is definitely we know is more. But more important is when you tell the business, oh, I've got a security issue in my application. Right. The business say, oh, what you have been doing all the last 6 months, right? Why at the last moment? So that is what we wanted to fix, that why we cannot do the security while we are doing the development. So this is where we have got a lot of tools embedded within our pipeline. So it's an early feedback. So the concept what we are trying to implement is give the power in the hands of developers rather than in the central functions. We still have central functions, but we want to start early. We want to fix early. That's what our principle is, right? If the developer is empowered, if the developer is enabled, he or she can fix those things very early in the game. And this is actually a good, we'll say, feedback mechanism also. For example, our developers, I think good percent of our developers are not aware of what SQL injection issues are, what cross-site scripting issues are. With the help of the tools what we have implemented in the pipeline, now they are aware of. Because whenever they are doing the build, if they are not following the best practices, they will, the pipeline will give them the feedback, or they will break our builds, right? So it's a continuous learning there. Then I think one of the most important thing what we are doing in the organization is promote the learning culture. Right. Promote the self-learning culture, that is what we are promoting. And what we have done is, in this area, is we have got a lot of classroom trainings, and also we have got more than 5 self-learning platforms available to all the developers so that they can learn new age technologies. Right. And we definitely motivate all our engineers towards path of becoming full stack engineers. Not only that, we keep talking about engineers who learn this, keep learning, keep learning. We are also now trying to experiment in that how we can promote the similar concept with the managers also. That how I can become a full stack manager, which means that, right, now that's interesting because we keep preaching this particular thing, engineers, but the managers always have a very easy go, right? So we are coming up with this particular full stack managers, which means that you can, when you sit with the developers, you can talk their language. When you sit with the managers, you talk their language, and when you sit with the CIOs, CEOs, you talk their language. So a lot of, I would say, learning, self-learning, and even learning activities going in the organization. CI/CD for database technologies, we don't even, we want to get into this particular space because still database is not fully integrated. All the DBAs and all that, I think they go through a painful process of when they have to do the DML and DCL, there is no pipeline for it. This is where also now we are getting into. Moving on, we have inbuilt, this is our homegrown platform. With all the tools what we implemented, right, we had like across all the stacks, we have got more than 90 tools. Right. Now what was happening was that we have got so many tools. One tool is not talking to other tool. So it's not, all the dots are not connected. And lot of data is wasted because we are not converting that data into the information. So for example, like if I have got Jira, Jenkins, GitHub, all these tools are generating a lot of information. But this information is wasted because all the tools have got a different, I will say, logs. We are not collating that particular logs to turn into actionable information. So what we did was, right, one of the, so we come up, so Shunya is a word in Sanskrit, which means zero, right? We wanted to promote this philosophy of that we are doing DevOps, but what are the benefits? Yes, of course, the DORA are the benefits, but we want to make sure that customer also realizes that what is the benefit. So we implemented that, yes, let's try to achieve these 3 zeros for the customers, right? We offer Shunya to our customers, and we, yes, we mean it, right? Shunya means zero, right? So 3 zeros, 0 defects, 0 vulnerabilities, and 0 outages. That's what we aim to achieve for our customers. But that doesn't mean that we are not encouraging the innovation and experimentation. We are absolutely encouraging that, but we want all our defects to be found ourselves. We don't want customers to tell our defects. So we tell our development teams, our engineers, that let's try to implement the shift left plus philosophy, that how you can try to catch these things as early as possible in the game. For this purpose, what we have done is we have built this particular platform which gives the developers, engineers, managers, CIOs the relevant information what they need in order to run their pod, their department, their line of business. So you get the feedback all about that, what is your defect pod saying? What is your agility? What is your velocity? So it's a very intuitive platform which gives you all the information about what is the health of your pod is, right? So all the red boxes here talks about the multiple widgets what we have implemented. There are more than 10 widgets which we have implemented in our Sunnah platform. But just to, I think, delivery predictability, it tells you whether your user stories are being finished in the same sprint or we are postponing or changing the timelines of the user stories. It tells like build traceability. What it tells is with CI, what it tells is like when you are implementing the CI/CD, lot many teams do not implement in full sprint. When I say implementing CI in full sprint means is that when you are finished as a developer, if I have done my logical piece of work, I go ahead and commit. So what we were doing was that can we give feedback to our pods, to our pod leads, to our tech leads, that what is your commit concentration is. When I say commit concentration, I mean is, am I still checking in the code on a weekly basis or I have moved into a rhythm of a daily, right? And that's what CI is, right? That you have finished a logical piece of code, go ahead and commit so that it can get integrated with a larger piece and see you are not breaking anything for the rest of the people, right? That's what I think CI is. And still, when we experimented with this particular thing, people were getting the feedback that still we are doing the CI. Every Monday, developer comes and they are checking in the code only on Fridays or next Monday. Right? So when they found out, we started preaching, educating our developers that please start following the rhythm of logical unit. You have finished something, go ahead and check in that. So I think return on investment has been great on this particular thing, but more importantly, have we empowered our developers, have we empowered our managers, have we empowered our business heads to take the right decisions and see whether they are able to achieve the real benefits of DevOps or not. That's what Sunnah as a platform offers us. This is another interesting thing we experimented with. Lot of, I will say, a lot of great feedback about from our internal engineers, but I will not say that jury is still not out on this particular thing because we have not done the full-scale implementation of this. But what we wanted to do here was an enterprise organization like us, we have got a huge database of our defects. So like we have got Jira as well as we have got QC in which all our defects are logged, all our internal defects are logged. But are we using that particular database for the benefit of the organization? Are we using that database for the benefit of the engineers? So what I mean is that I've got our 15 years of defect data. Are we doing some analysis on that particular data and giving some good feedback to the engineers that what's happening with that? Sorry, this is a bit busy slide, but so what we have done is number one, we created the defect DNA, right? For every defect, for every data, you can actually connect from end to end, that it can give you all the information of that particular defect related to why that defect was caused, what was the SLA for defect, how it was fixed, when it was fixed, how much time it took to fix, all the information of that particular defect. Then we created a defect lake because most of the time our developers, if a defect is produced, what they do is most of the time they will go to the Google and try to find out, right? If you know, yes, what is the issue? If you don't know, you'll always, right, most of the time developers goes to the Google. But they will not find the information about a defect which is in my system. If it is a, like for example, if it is a standard Java defect, they will be able to find if it is a standard systems, but if it is our internal systems, right, those defects will be internalized only. So this is where we created this defect lake of all our defects for the last 15 years, and you can search by defect, you can search by root cause, right? There is an advanced search algorithm available, and you can see whether I can get some help from the earlier defects. And what you can do is, like for example, if you see that this defect has been fixed earlier, directly you can call the person, directly you can email the person there itself to get some help, right? Similarly, one interesting thing what we did was defect to code mapping, right, which is number 4 here. This is an interesting concept. So we consider our systems as that systems are equal to code. Code is equal to our files, right? And let's see that our system, our analogy here, what we follow is that, let's say we have got a bridge, right? And bridge is consisting of wooden planks. So if I want to test the strength of the bridge is, I have to check if any of the plank is weak here or not, right? And that's what exactly we try to do with this defect to code mapping. So whenever a defect is encountered, we try to map that particular defect with an individual file, right? And that count keeps increasing. Like for example, if I have got a system in which there are 10 files, it consists of 10 source code files, right? Within these 10 source code files, if there is one file where there are more number of defects, then either there is a complexity issue or there is a quality issue, but there is definitely some issue with that file because most defect concentration is there. So this particular diagram, that's what it tells, that maybe more number of issues are there in one file. So what we do is, we give this particular feedback to the developers and to the engineering managers that maybe you need to refactor that particular code of that file, but also we put tags in our pipelines that if the change request to the production is going through this file, please make sure there is an extra scrutiny done before we promote that code in the production, because chances are likely that there may be an issue, this may cause an issue in the production also. So that's what we mean by defect to code mapping. Hotspot, we do the analysis of, like for example, let's say if I am running my credit card system and I can always analyze my last 6 months defects or last 3 months defects or last 1 year defects and get a hotspot of all those defects, that what actually my issue is, right? So that is also an algorithm what we have written here is that automatically tells you that are you doing more mistakes on the code, more mistakes on the design, more mistakes on the testing, where the real issues are. And then we can go to the next level also, like for example, if you are doing a lot of mistakes in the code incorrect, then we can go what actually are the issues, are there server side issues, client side issues, we can go to the next level also and give the hotspot. And then is this defect clusters gives you, I think this is more for the domain people, they can understand, like, so what we do is we run an algorithm there which can give you the most frequent phrases which are coming in the defect description. So this is where I think was an interesting thing what we have done was that how do we make our mainframes and mid-range also dance, because our dance cannot be complete without these, because these systems also play a big role, right? So what we did was, so Jenkins absolutely do a wonderful job for distributed and mobile, but Jenkins out of the box doesn't support mainframe and iSeries. So what we did was, and industry doesn't gives us a very good solution for this. So what we did was we built some internal products which integrates Jenkins with ZOS and iSeries. So we have got, I think, sort of our internal products here which allows CI to happen both in mainframe and iSeries. And as you can see here, in my when I was not using the CI, all my handoffs were manual, right? From the build to the construct to the deploy, and this is all the suite of tools what we use in order to do the SDLC within the mainframe and mid-range. So now this is fully automated. I can do my CI within iSeries, I can do my CI within mainframe, and we have built in-house solutions for this. So, and again, I think the concept what we try to follow is with DevOps, the concept of happy developers, smiling developers. And this is where we have got our mainframe developers, iSeries developers are as happy as our mobile developers or distributed developers are, because they are also using the best-in-class solutions. All the tools are available. They also use Jira or some other relevant tool to manage their user stories, right? Then we are accelerating our journey in cloud. We are heavily focused on GCP, we do use AWS, we use Azure as well. So we have a multi-cloud strategy in place. A lot of our projects are live on cloud at this time. So the challenge was, earlier our pipeline was only a on-prem pipeline. It was not supporting the cloud deployments. And being a financial organization, we wanted to have a hybrid solution. We didn't want to have a full, we didn't want to go in the jump to a full cloud native solution. So our CI was still on-prem, but CD has to be enabled so that it can do the cloud deployment. So this is where we came up with a hybrid solution, that how we can have hybrid CI/CD capability. So now we have got a full-blown CI/CD capability in for the cloud deployment also. So we have got pipelines which are container enabled, which can create the images, which can do the container deployments, which can automatically create the YAML files, which can create the manifest files, and if you are following the standard deployment patterns, you don't have to make any changes. So we try to abstract all the complexity of the Kubernetes. Right, as a developer, if you don't, right, all you care is writing your microservice and run your CI/CD pipeline to deploy it. So if the deployment patterns are default, you don't care about that I have to clone this, I have to run these many instances. So all that complexity is abstracted from the developers from our by writing these pipelines. So image creation, manifest creation, YAML file creation is all done automatically. But yes, if some change has to be made, that I want 2 copies of, I want this particular thing to run as 5 copies, we can do that particular thing as well, right? Compliance as a code, as a bank, as a financial institution, this is very important. So we have baked in this also as a code, so that all the audits, all the controls are automatically done. Pipeline as a code, we check in the pipeline code also in the GitHub. So if developers want to make any changes, they can make the changes through the code only within the pipeline. And finally, a lot of these infrastructure automation that can be automatically run a compute. Can I automatically provision a compute instance in the GCP? These all are provisioned using our Terraform scripts, right? Then bit of a fun also, bit of a experimentation, bit of a fun here, that how do we do this, make it interesting CI/CD. So what we did was we built we called it as a build orb. So we said whenever a build fails, can we get a device on top of my computer, right, or laptop, which can give me a visual indication whether the build is failed or is successful. So we just experimented by creating this particular device, all done in-house here, right, which can get integrated with the Jenkins pipeline and give a visual indicator. There is a LED on the top of this particular device. It gives you an indication. Red means you have failed the build, green means the build is successful, and blue means it is in progress. In fact, this device is a portable device. You can connect using USB, and it is actually also supports Wi-Fi also, right? So using a button also, like if I'm having a coffee in the cafeteria, if I want to trigger my build, I can trigger my build using a button which is there in the device. So wanted to have right, so this is just for fun we did. And then I think not want to focus on too much on numbers, right? But this is what the story looks like, that what did we achieve by using all this, right? In terms of the business value, in terms of the, right, are our CIOs happy with this particular thing? That's what we achieved. So we delivered more functionality, we eliminated a lot of waste, improved the cycle time. So, and finally, right, it's not about numbers, right? It's absolutely not about numbers. All we want to make sure is that we have got our processes which are very, very innovative, very, very lightweight, very, very nimble. So we want to focus on when a developer joins the team, he or she is productive on the day one, right? So within this platform, what I explained, Shunne, we have built the entire pod onboarding process, which means that if I am creating a new pod, that is all automated. If I am changing a pod, that is also automated. So if a developer cannot checking the code after joining in the next 24 to 48 hours, we believe there is something wrong in our process, right? that is what is the key challenge we have put in ourselves, that how do we make sure our developers are as productive as possible? Because developer time is very, very precious and every drop counts. And it is in our selfish favor only that we try to use the developer's time in the best possible way. Right. So I'll end with the last slide. This is what our goal is. Right. DevOps is equal to happy developers, right? Smiling developers. That's what our goal is. If even after implementing DevOps, we have got stressed developers, anxious developers, overworked developers, which means we have not done our job in the right way. It's not about DevOps, it's not about CI/CD, making sure that the processes are as smooth as possible. Like whenever we get digital experiences, like the best of the digital experience, I'm sure, right, is when you go to, I will say, okay, when you go to Amazon, when you hire a taxi using Uber or some other, right, you get a good customer experience. But are we giving the same experience to our developers? Right. So this is something I said yesterday in the keynote when I was asked, what is the future of DevOps? DevOps is, I think, giving the same digital experiences to our developers. Right. They definitely need great tools, but they need great experiences. How do you make their lives as simple as possible? Right. If we do that, we are doing a favor to ourselves only, because they will have more time, they will have more brain power, they will be able to innovate more, they will be able to transform the business more. And lastly, CI for us is definitely continuous integration, but it is continuous innovation also. That how do we continue innovating in this particular space? How do we ensure that developers are having a great time, they are having a fun time working? So that's it, guys, from my side. There's a lot I can talk about, but I only got 45 minutes. Yeah, more than happy to answer any questions. So Mike is with.
So when you talk about transformation, there are two things in transformation that I think about. There are technological tools and all those things, but there is a big cultural transformation. And what that means is changing the mentality of people. Now you talk about mainframes and so on, so you have a rather long history of people coming from the mainframe era, which are like, if you go and tell them, we're going to just check in and we're going to put your code in production through a pipeline, they'll freak out. What do you do to them?
I think it's a great question, and I absolutely agree. Cultural transformation is the most difficult part of, right? As a leader, right, if someone asks me, do go ahead and implement this particular technology solution or a system, it's an easier thing. But if someone asks me to change the culture of the organization, that's a most tough job for any leader or any manager, right? Is that tough as like for, if I can give this analogy, if someone likes beer, how do I convince him that, oh, I am not saying beer is bad, that how do you go ahead and, right, wine, try out wine also, it is good. So culture transformation, and this is where I think we had a big challenge. And I will say there are multiple answers to it, but if your organization top to bottom starts talking the same language, how we solved was all our leaders, right, including me, were talking about the same language, right from the group CIO to all the CIOs. They were talking that yes, we have to implement DevOps, we have to get agile, we have to, so everyone was talking same language. This is what made the things easier. And then we experimented with the people who were very vocal, who were aggressive, who were hungry. They wanted that. And once we give them the right things, they become our advocates for implementing it. So.
Hi. A lot of what you're talking about with Sunnah and Samurai, Cloudbeast plans to add to its SDM platform. Is that something, you mentioned you're collaborating with them on the next gen solutions. Is that something you plan to kind of look at from them?
Yes, absolutely. I think we work very closely with Cloudbeast, and I think we had been doing some co-creation and co-design activities earlier. And so it is on the same lines, but it is, I will say, it only covers, I will say, SDM is absolutely a very holistic approach to approach this entire data lake thing, approach all the data which is being generated by all the tools. But our thing is still I will say we are not covering the full spectrum. So this is where I think SDM covers it full, right? Because, so think of like we are only doing it for our business, for our line of businesses, but with Cloudbees, their advantages, they see the entire world, all the, I will say, banks, all the technology organizations, they come to them. So I think their solution is absolutely much more holistic. So definitely we are collaborating. We talk on this particular thing that how we have given a lot of feedback on that. Yeah. So
in terms of team structure, you're saying that the CIO over HSBC being worldwide. From your team standpoint, is your team also worldwide, or are you centralized in one location?
So our team is, so I have a team which runs in 9 locations, but core team is situated in India, in Pune. And in today's world, actually, it doesn't matter where you're sitting, right? It's more of a like, if we can manage distributed teams, we can manage distributed responsibilities. So to be honest, I think, of course, co-location helps, but it's a matter of what culture we have in the organization, right? So for example, in our organization, everyone is away only 6 digits away, right? So so all of us are connected through VC. And VC is not, so I think 10 years back, when I was there in the organization, VC were only available using tender, those beautiful Tenderberg terminals, only to the senior managers. And now it is available to every engineer as well in the organization. So to be honest, it doesn't matter, but yes, we have got teams which are distributed and regional teams, central teams, but it's like a one pool of resources. This is how we try to manage.
Hi, I'm really fascinated with your solution, and we are also like Navy Federal Credit Union, and we have mainframe distributed everything. And we are really having challenge to automate Zio OS, you know.
Yeah.
And I really don't know how we can get help from you or, you know,
No,
on like having fully automated. We are doing very well on distributed side, but mainframe side is still, I mean.
And absolutely, I think that's what our challenge was. So I'm happy to, I think, give my contact details, right?
Please.
We can collaborate after this and share what we have done so that it can be helpful to you.
And one more question on onboarding. We are continuously having, like when we have person coming, they sit for a few days before they can start, you know. I mean, we are getting better on that, but still getting access to all the systems, painful process, you know. So I don't know how you automated all that. That is also big problem for us in our organization.
And to be honest, I think 4 years back, that was an issue for us also. Like when a person joined, I think 4 days, no laptop, no access, raise, I think 100 requests in order to get access and all that. So what we have done is, I think, let me give a quick 1-minute answer to this is, when a person joins, absolutely, I think laptop is given in the next hour, right? And we have created some bundles, which we call it as I bundles, intelligent bundles. These bundles are like, for example, if I am a Java engineer, I know what that Java engineers in our organization do. If I am a full stack engineer, this is what. If I am a database guy, this is what. So we have created these bundles. In Java also, we have created 4 types of bundles. In I series, we have a bundle. In Z series, we have a bundle. So what we do is, when a person is joining, we ask the pod lead, please assign this, we ask the hiring manager, please assign this guy to a pod. So we know what that pod is using. So, and then the solution is built into the Sunnah that do the auto provisioning of what softwares, what access are required. So this is how we have cracked the part of the problem. I'll not say it's always a journey. I'll not say that, oh, we are 100% there. It's always a journey for us. So at least now we have got all the hardware and software things sorted out, right? And some of the cases, yes, the check-in is also possible. So I think, it's not a one-size-fits-all solution. You have to really understand that what the teams need, and you have to create a custom solution for that particular thing. But absolutely doable.
Hi, thanks. This was a really very nice presentation. Before I ask my question, I had a follow-up sort of an answer. I don't want to take away from your
Yeah.
But one of the things that we applied at Expedia for the culture part question was we picked up 1 or 2 teams, make them the model team, and that created a healthy competition between other teams, and they started getting organically attached to this DevOps. So that could be one way. I'm not saying that's the only way.
No, thanks for your comment. Yeah.
The question I had was for the data lake that you showed.
Mm-hmm.
So 2 questions. One is how far back in history do you go, and how did you collect that data to create a standard template? Because every log will have a different sort of a different standard. So how do you correlate all of them together?
So, so as I said, all our data is, I will say, new tools we have implemented probably 4 years back only. Before that, I think all the data was existing in some of the old tools, so it's easy to extract. So creating a data lake is not a challenge at all, right? I think it's a matter of, we can easily integrate, like for example, if I have to integrate Jira and QC, it's a very easy process. I think we can integrate that, right? The issue is how do you read the information which is there in the data logs, or in the, like for example, in this particular purpose, how do you read the data in the defects? So, not my fault. Sorry. So, I will say simple answer there is we are as good as our data, right? Just to, I think, I will talk about 2 things here, like it's garbage in, garbage out. Like if you don't enter the right data, right, you will not get the right results. So we have written, I will say, algorithms which process this particular data and try to read it. Not 100% there, like for example, if someone has not filled the right data in the root cause, will not get the right thing, right? And people still, like for example, in lot many systems, the defect mapping is not automatic. So no matter, I think, how much validations we put, it's not easy to capture the, I will say, right information. Like for example, if we ask when the defect is fixed and it was a root cause was code incorrect, we ask the developers, can you please enter the defect the code repository and the file name? And sometimes I think developers will put any junk value. So, and we don't, I think, to be honest, I think it's more about the enablement, empowerment process, right? Once they start seeing the value, they will automatically start entering the right data. So,
okay, we've got time for one final question. I'm sorry, because Rajeev's already late for his next appointment, so I'll go with this gentleman here, if that's okay.
So your tool, Samurai, detects defects using AI technologies. Are you guys using any other or have any in-house tools that do log parsing for infrastructure using AI or machine learning technologies?
So we are using, of course, I think I'll not say that we have developed our own algorithms here. We are using the industry standard algorithms only to do the log analysis and creating a summary, like for example, this word summary. So we are not in that, I will say, scientist space at this point of time. One day we'll get there, but I think using all the industry standard like Juniper notebook and all that, we are using all Python libraries for doing this. So those algorithms are not, these are all open source algorithms available for all of us to use, but we are using that, have implemented a full-blown solution how to use it end to end. So you can get all the information what you need, like for example, I want hotspots of my defects. It can give you the hotspots of your defects. I want the word summary for your defects. It can give you the word summary. But of course, I will not claim algorithm is written by us. Only the implementation part is written by us. So thank you very much. Thanks a lot. I hope it was useful. Thanks, Steve.